Okay, so on our first day of summer camp today, we talked a little bit about conjectures and the idea behind conjectures. Conjectures are where you see patterns and you see things that are happening and you make predictions about what it means. You try to make formulas, you try to make a general statement that applies. And if you can make such a statement, which is a conjecture, if you make a statement and it's proven to be true, it becomes a theorem. If it's proven to be not true, it's kind of null and void. And the easiest way to prove a conjecture not true is to find a counterexample that, takes the whole thing away. But we were doing some conjectures today, and we started kind of simply, and we moved up to some harder things. So here we go. So the first idea is that a circle is this outer part here. I'm going to try to, let's see if I can, I don't know what you see and what you don't see, but so here, this outer line here is the actual circle, which is kind of a big deal when you get into high school, when you get into geometry. It becomes kind of an important concept that a circle is actually a set of points that's equidistant from a point. And so if you have a center, the circle is all of these points on the outside. Students, when they're growing up and they start off young, they'll think that the whole inside is a circle. That's not. That's inside of a circle, but the circle is the actual outside here. And a diameter is a line segment that goes through the center of the circle. It goes from one side to the other. Dia means through, and so this is a measurement that's going right through the center here, and that's going to be the longest. Let's see. Can I click on here? Yeah. The diameter of the circle is a distance from one point on a circle through the circle to another point on the circle. It's got to be through the center of the circle. And do I have another? Yes. It is also the longest distance across the circle. So if I were to consider any other chord, meaning a line segment that touches the circle on 2 points, any other segment going across would not be as long as the diameter. Okay, and so we had pictures of pizza today in class, and we had black and white pictures, so they didn't look nearly as delicious, but that looks like a good pizza. And here is a little black spot mark in the center of the pizza, and for this we don't care about the toppings and if the toppings are evenly distributed or anything like that. We just basically talked about having fair shares of this pizza. And so we had these little coffee stirrers, these wooden sticks that look sort of like popsicle sticks, except a lot thinner and longer. And those represented cuts on our pizza. So we said we're going to pretend that this pizza is a circle and these wooden sticks are cuts across the pizza. And so we take, we're going to notice if there are any patterns as we cut the pizza. So initially we start with just, our goal is to cut the pizza fairly so that we share it and each person gets the same amount of pizza. Each cut must pass through the center, which is marked. So there are 2 rules to this. First rule, the cuts must go through the center. Second rule, the slices must be the same size. And so the students had their various sticks, and we took our stick and we did our very first cut. We had one wooden stick, and we had to place the wooden stick across the pizza through the center. And we made these resulting pieces. So the first question was, are they the same size? And then how many people can share this pizza that is cut once? Now, if you put a stick across a pizza through the diameter, doesn't matter which way the stick's going, it's going to cut that pizza in half. So you're going to have 2 pieces of pizza. Okay, so each person's going to get a half of the pizza. And so we went through and we did that with our stick, and we plotted our information on the board. We said if we have one stick, the number of cuts, or the number of sticks being our independent variable, our x, and the number of pieces formed became our dependent variable, our y. So the number of pieces we get depend on the number of cuts we had. And so we did this a number of times. We did it once, Then we went through, we did 2 cuts, placed the wooden sticks through the center, making sure the pieces were the same, how many people can share the pizza, and what fraction do they get. And so we did that like so. And we determined that there were 4 pieces that could be shared. And so then we did it with a 3rd stick. We took the sticks off and we started all over. 3 wooden sticks. So we cut it across once, we cut across a 2nd time, we cut across a 3rd time, and we found that there were 6 pieces. So this is the very first level, the very introductory level, and we plotted those points and we determined if there was a relationship. So we talked about, was there a pattern? What do you think will happen if we make 4 cuts? Why do you think that? How could we use this method to share the pizza among 3 people? How could we use this method to share the pizza among 5 people? Okay, so that's the idea of fair shares. And so then we made a conjecture, and I'm not giving away too many answers here, but we figured this out in all of our classes today. We had very good students that worked well. So a conjecture is a statement that seems to be true based on your observations. Okay, and if it's proven to be true, it becomes a theorem. The easiest way to prove it's false is to find a counterexample. So we said our conjecture was, if a pizza is cut n times, it can be shared by blank people. So we're looking for an expression using the variable n representing the number of times that the pizza is cut. And that's level 1. Then we started looking at, if we did not go through the center and we're just cutting any kind of way on this pizza, and we're trying to find the minimum number of pieces we can get with the cuts, how many would that be? So again, we're using the wooden sticks. We're cutting any kind of way. We're going to see if we notice any patterns, and this is again plotted on the board, and so we're looking for a relationship. Our independent variable being the number of cuts, and the dependent variable being the number of pieces, and again looking for the smallest number of pieces. So we can cut any kind of way. So I showed them like so. You can put the stick right through the center if you want, or you can go off to the side like so. You can go over here. It's not going to make a difference. The sizes don't matter. It's just strictly the number we're looking for. So we went through with our first stick. The only rule, again, is that the stick must go through the pizza from one side to the other. So we're cutting through the pizza. We're not cutting partway into the pizza. So we did 1 stick, and we placed it anywhere we wanted, and we had to see how many pieces were created. Turns out that if you put the stick any kind of way, the smallest number of pieces you can get is going to be 2. So can you find a way to get less pieces? We talked about that. Nobody could, not unless they became tangent or tried to get off the pizza or tried to break the rule that it's going through. So that's a no. So then we did it with 2 sticks. Again, going through any kind of way that we want, and we figured out the smallest number of pieces, and we put that in a table, and we kept doing that. We did it with 3 sticks. The kids started picking up a pattern pretty quickly, and so we were looking at that pattern. We tried it with 4 sticks. Do you think you can figure it out with 4 sticks? And everybody could, so they did very good. So we again had to make a conjecture, and the conjecture was again based on the idea of having n cuts, n being just some number. So if the pizza is cut in times, the least number of pieces you can get is. Students got it. So then the next level, and I knew going into this that we were not going to arrive at the equation for the conjecture, but I had them noticing patterns. So here we go. We've got another pizza. We're going to do the same thing with the wooden sticks. So now we're going across the pizza and we're trying to figure out the maximum number of pieces we can get. Sticks can go anywhere on the pizza they want. And so, again, you can go through the center if you want. You can go off to the side like so. You can go off to the side like so. It's not going to matter. There is a pattern to it. To try to, when you're trying to get the maximum number of pieces, you have to start strategizing. Again, I was very pleased with the students today because they figured it out after a little while. So the only rule is that the cut must go through the pizza. So again, we're talking about going through the pizza. So when we're graphing this, it turns out that this is kind of a discrete graph. We're talking about only integers, integer inputs, integer outputs. So we're going to use one stick, and we're going across the pizza anywhere we want. And to find the maximum number of pieces, when you make one cut, turns out, again, it's 2. Okay, so that's just your starting point. So for all of these, you can get 2 slices. But then you get a little bit more creative. So we went in there with 2 sticks, and then we did it with 3 sticks. And we kept doing this, and it took the kids a little bit of time. Some of them got it pretty quickly, and some of them took a little bit longer. I think everybody got there. And so we tried to make a conjecture. Sorry, let me try to go through this. So the conjecture in this case was significantly harder because there is actually a formula. I don't know if you want to call it a formula. There's a trick to it. And so finding a conjecture with the variable n was difficult. But with the information in the table, when we were plotting the number of cuts versus the number of pieces that we got, the kids, some of them started spotting this pattern. One kid in particular, I was having to hide the board because he was going too fast because he figured it out way too fast. But there's kind of a pattern that happens. And so from there, we started talking about finding differences within the table and figuring out the number of iterations you'd have to do. And so we figured out that this would be some sort of something with n squared, and we didn't go any further than that. We're going to push that further in the school year, and we're going to figure out where that goes. We're going to start doing some stuff this week with square numbers, triangular numbers, and all those sorts of things. And I'm pretty confident that the students are going to figure out how that plays into this whole pizza conjecture. But so this was a good, fun thing to do for the students. This was something that they could be very creative and very thoughtful, and they were eager to do. And so I was very pleased with them. I was very proud. So I taught 8, 10, and 12, 8th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, with 10th grade being geometry students, 12th grade being pre-calc. These are all up and coming, so they haven't started 10th and 12th and 8th yet. But anyway, so we had a good time, and hopefully throughout these next 2 weeks for our Jumpstart camp, when we're doing these different little conjectures and fun activities and stuff, I will tell you about it after the fact, and you know, maybe you can use that in class, maybe you can figure it out as a student or whatever. Anyhow, that's all. Thank you very much for stopping by. Ciao.